You are listening to the global network of podcasters dedicated to the pharmacy profession. Welcome to the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to This Week in Pharmacy. My name is Todd Uri, founder of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. 17 and a half years and going. This profession is in flux. It's changing. It's drastic. It's exciting. I'm here for it all. We have a wonderful show today. I cannot wait to get in to some of the material. We're going to go through some TWIRx news. I would like to thank Cassian RX, Cassian, a transformative digital patient journey. Cassian is in the specialty pharmacy space. Their team is made up of some passionate pharmacists. I began working with them. We're going to be doing a 3-part series with Chris Corsi and his team. He's from the great city of Pittsburgh, obviously our hometown, and how special specialty pharmacy is out of Pittsburgh. So shout out to Cassian and everything that you're doing. Can't wait for the 3-part series to come out. This is TWIRx. Let's go. This Week in Pharmacy. This has been a recovery week for me. I got back from the AMIA 2026 conference. I picked up a little cold, as you can probably hear in my voice. And hey, we all have to keep going. We got jobs to do. We're putting out This Week in Pharmacy, and how impressed I am with the specialty pharmacy space. Couldn't be more excited about what's coming out of specialty. We're going to be sharing a lot of that. You may have seen the first of the 3-part series that came out this week in pharmacy. The AMIA Specialty Pharmacy Summit 2026 Rewind, part 1 of 6. It was a record-setting gathering of specialty pharmacy experts. And our coverage was record-setting as well, with over 40 different interviews. I was blown away by how many people in our profession knew about the Pharmacy Podcast Network, knew about our press coverage, and signed up to share their vision for how specialty is transforming, changing. And you're not going to want to miss that. Hey, on TWIRx news up first, wanted to note the first stories out of Pharmacy Times just today, This Week in Pharmacy, featuring Dr. Megan Maroney, and she discusses antidepressants use and withdrawal deprescribing and the pharmacist's role in patient education around mental health. And the main point and the concerns about antidepressants should be addressed through evidence-based conversations and certainly not fear. You get on TikTok, you see so many things of people talking about one side or the other. I don't like that. I like when pharmacists and physicians enter the chat. There's a lot of them out there, lots of TikTokers out there who are pharmacists. Very proud of you. And I'd say 95% of you are evidence-based and put up some good information. There's that 5% outliers that are disappointing, and sometimes they're grifting and they want to sell stuff. But patients should never stop antidepressants abruptly. They should speak with their pharmacist, their prescriber, a care team about side effects and tapering off from long use And Dr. Maroney emphasizes that clinicians need more training on safety discontinuing antidepressants and not just starting them. She recommends shared decision-making using BRAN framework, BRAN framework, benefits, risk, alternatives, and doing nothing, and just understanding how both decisions can affect a patient, letting them know what the issues could be and just flagging it. Education's everything. The article also notes that lifestyle strategies, especially exercise, wow. We always want this American culture especially, they always want to just pop a pill and go on their merry way and expect it to just solve everything and have no idea. And I'm a hypocrite in saying that. I'm not on a consistent regimen of exercise. I'm on and off. I'll do great for 6 months and then crappy for 3 months and then get back on it. But always trying to come back to the importance of exercise and how that can support depression care, particularly for mild symptoms as part of a broader treatment plan. We'd love to have you on TWIRx. If you are a pharmacist, you're listening, you're curious about mental health, or you want to dig deeper into a specific disease state that you've been involved with, please reach out to us. We would love to have you join us on TWIRx. Hey, next article up, AMIA, AMIA, Amplify poster session, first data bank, pharmacists show patient-specific medication guidance that can reduce pharmacy alerts by 70%. This is huge. And the reason is because you're working hard, you're on your system, and the disruption of the dings and the pings on your pharmacy system. FDB research presented for the 2026 AMIA Amplify Informatics Conference found that patient-specific risk-based medication guidance can reduce pharmacy alert volume by 70% in a high-volume community pharmacy setting. The approach consolidates multiple safety alerts into one actionable message tied to the patient's most relevant clinical risk, helping reduce alert fatigue and improve pharmacist workflow. Pharmacist accepted recommended next best actions more than 75% of the time and reported more time for patient interaction. I mean, that is what technology is supposed to do. It's supposed to open up more opportunities for pharmacists to spend time with their patients. And I love this. We're going to be working more with FDB, hoping to be partnering with them for the NACDS Total Store Expo, as well as possibly the NASP, the National Association of Specialty Pharmacy 2026. So stay tuned for more from FDB on the Pharmacy Podcast Network. Hey, next up, this is interesting, definitely about compounding pharmacy. I know the team at Empower Pharmacy and how dedicated to safety and how dedicated to patient choice and patient empowerment, thus the name Empower Pharmacy. And the article headline that comes from MSN says, Judge dismisses part of Eli Lilly's GLP-1 lawsuit against Houston's Empower Pharmacy. I think you all know, just being in the industry, reading between the lines, that the pharma company would like to control everything about a product, and the compounders out there have targets on their back from a positioning of revenue and not necessarily what's best or convenient or accessible medication from the patient's perspective. A federal judge dismissed key parts of Eli Lilly's lawsuit against Houston-based Empower Pharmacy over compounded trizepatide versions of Mounjaro and Zepbound. The judge threw out Lilly's federal trademark and Texas unfair competition claims, saying Lilly had not shown lost sales or irreparable harm, but allowed unfair competition claims in other states to continue. Empower called the ruling a win for patient access, while Lilly said it will keep pursuing cases against compounders selling unapproved GLP-1 versions. If a compounder pharmacy, an independent compounder pharmacy is out there and you want to jump on This Week in Pharmacy and talk about some of the things that you experience from some of the wholesalers, the pharma manufacturers, please reach out to me. I do want to give a shout out to the CEO, Sean Norian. Sean is a champion of patient care. I've talked to him many a times, proud of what he's built through Empower. Just keep a heads up on compounding and flag us if you get contacted by a pharma manufacturer and it's unfair, and flag us. We'd love to tell the story. We'd love to tell your story. We'd love to get you involved on the Pharmacy Podcast Network through This Week in Pharmacy. We have a really interesting interview about the future of generics. I don't want you to miss this. This is from a guy who's been in the industry for 20 plus years. He knows the intricacy. He knows the details. He knows the market around generic medications and how a Supreme Court case could change the game. You do not want to miss this. We'll be right back with more TWIRx.
This episode of This Week in Pharmacy is sponsored by RX for Route, pharmacy delivery software built to help pharmacies simplify, optimize, and scale their prescription delivery operations. If your pharmacy is expanding into long-term care at home, MedSync delivery, specialty pharmacy, or simply trying to improve your daily delivery workflow, RX for Route gives your team the tools to do it smarter. Their platform supports route optimization, real-time order tracking, proof of delivery, patient notifications, driver management, and seamless integration with leading pharmacy systems. RX for Route helps pharmacies reduce manual work, improve delivery accuracy, and give patients better visibility into when their medications are arriving. Drivers get an easier workflow, pharmacies get better control, and patients get a more reliable experience. Trusted by more than 1,500 pharmacies and powering over 70,000 deliveries a day, RX for Route is helping pharmacies turn delivery into a true competitive advantage. To learn more or schedule a demo, visit rx4route.com. That's RX, the number 4, route.com. Smarter pharmacy delivery starts here.
Hey, returning to TWIRx today, Andy Crawford, Vice President of Pharmaceutical Sales and Marketing with KeySource. Andy, it's so good to see you.
Hey, likewise, my friend. Thanks for having me again. Appreciate you.
Hey, you posted something that we didn't get a chance to talk about the week that it came out. It was published through Drugstore News. One of my favorite authors, Sandra Levy, wrote, U.S. Supreme Court hears generic drug patent case that could impact generic drug industry. And you had some comments on that. I was really interested in bringing a LinkedIn post that you put out to kind of dig into this concept, because it's exactly what she wrote. It's gonna change some things. So talk to our listeners about this.
Yeah, sure. I think I don't think this innovation is anything new, right? Skinny labeling, which is really what the article and the post revolves around, was really designed to balance innovation and affordability. But I think some think it's becoming somewhat of like a strategic weapon. As a generic manufacturer, labeling and using their generic alternatives for indications other than maybe what they were intended for. And I think the other side of the coin, and me being pro-generic, right? Those are my people. That's my wheelhouse. Is, is this just, patent extension tactics for some of the brand companies, right? And then ultimately, how we all, even the government, we all want to say, well, how does this really impact assisting and benefiting the consumer ultimately? Because generics and the intention of generics are obviously to lower prices of pharmaceuticals for patients across the country, and ultimately one of the biggest levers that can be pulled in lowering healthcare costs. So it's really an interesting kind of case. In I think something that I think your listeners, and why I kind of feel strongly about is that the issue impacts more than just manufacturers, right? Depending on, I think, the outcome of this, and many think that the outcome will probably be a little bit more mute than some of the articles, allude to, but it really affects the whole pharmaceutical supply chain. Me and distribution, pharmacies servicing patients maybe where a product isn't available anymore, PBM sourcing, provider prescribing behavior. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, right? So it was a really interesting thing, and I think more to come and more to watch.
So how do you see, or what do you speculate, the Supreme Court's decision, if it affects the speed and confidence for which generic drugs enter the market? What's your opinion? How does that play out? And depending how they decide, what they decide to do with HICMA?
I'm not an expert on, why and how ANDAs are filed and what gets pushed through the FDA approval and what doesn't. I think, a pharmacist, and many of your listeners being pharmacists, are probably more apt to answer that question than me, and those in development with manufacturers. But I think it goes back to my original comment, which is, what is the patent and the indication of use for? And what is maybe the generics labeling, skinny labeling, alluding to an indicated use that maybe is not what the original patent was intended for? So I don't think the government in the Supreme Court wants to restrict or funnel generic market entrants. If anything, the FDA have been very supportive of faster entrance to market for generics. And that's why we've seen so many ANDA, which is the abbreviated new drug application that a generic manufacturer files for when they want to bring a product to market, why those have come through so much quicker. The FDA has really been supportive of bringing more of those products to market, and ultimately that benefits the consumer and benefits healthcare in America.
Andy, what should pharmacy owners understand about, you mentioned skinny labels, patented indications, and generic substitutions when counseling patients or working with or even communicating with prescribers?
I just think that, if there was an intended consequence from this court case, maybe does that, I guess the downstream effect to patients and prescribers is, does that give them less options in the future, right? I think that's one of the biggest outcomes that could happen from this. Fewer launches, more litigation risk, delayed competition, and ultimately, what does that all mean for the consumer? Possibly higher cost of drugs. I think that what the manufacturer probably will see from this is maybe what's likely to happen is skinny labels will most likely continue to survive. But I think generic manufacturers will likely have to kind of tighten up their guardrails around marketing language, right? Promotional claims and public communications about products. So compliance, probably that burden of compliance from coming to market in an entry on a new generic probably increase would be what my intuition would be from a result of this.
All right. So I guess my last question, and this is more about the ruling, is marketing. So we always talk about different facets of marketing, and compounding, for example, gets themselves sometimes in trouble if they're not saying the right ways of marketing a compound. So what about marketing? Could the ruling against HICMA make generic manufacturers more cautious in marketing, education, communication with providers I don't like that. I'm a communicator. I'm a marketer. I'm a communications person. I want more of it. I don't want less of it. So what's your thoughts around that?
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, I think so. I think, that could be a result of this. But back to the original, I think, idea behind this whole court case is there off-patent use or push for off-patent use an indication of the product being manipulated in any way from a generic manufacturer? The uncertainty really comes down to, for a lot of us in the distribution space, when we talk about marketing, I would call it less marketing, more transparent communication. Hey, there's a new market entrant on this product. If it's a first to market, there's a significant advantage and a significant financial advantage on a product coming first to market, because usually there's a pretty high delta between acquisition costs of a single source, even a single source generic or a brand, to a multi-source generic, right? So if that generic maybe has lost its exclusivity and day 181 hits, you've got 5 or 10 more entrants coming to market, which would significantly erode acquisition costs. And I think, timing, sourcing, strategy, reimbursement dynamics, price competition, they're all things I think that would be influenced depending on the outcome of this case. So.
Well, for the listeners, Andy has been honored as one of our Pharmacy 50 most influential people for 2025, and your insights are prevalent on LinkedIn. So if you're listening and you have not connected with Andy Crawford, easy name to remember, Andy Crawford with KeySource, reach out to Andy, follow his posts, ask questions. Andy, thank you so much for being a guest on TWIRx, and we hope to have you back.
Thanks again. Appreciate you.